Hi guys, Shamion here from Food by Shamion. I hope all is well. Today I am going to do a potato jacket or stuffed potato with skin for you. Before I start, just a quick bit of information about potatoes. The ones that I am going to use is Russet potatoes. You know, in Trinidad, growing up, being a born Trinidadian, we always just heard of three types of potatoes, which was always the English and the Irish potato or the sweet potatoes, right? But in reality, in the culinary world, there are so much varieties, or there is so much varieties of potatoes, right? In the US alone, for instance, they have 200 types of potatoes. Just in the USA, we all know Americans love their potatoes. There are more than 200 varieties of potatoes sold in the US, and I'll break down I'll give you the facts as I'm on it for you guys, right? So each of the variety fits into one of 7 potato types categories. So there are 200 plus varieties, but it fits into only 7 potato type categories, which is the Russet that we have right there, or Russet. The red potato, you all know that. A lot of times they are small. We have the white, we have the yellow, we have the purple, the blue / purple, and that's about it, right? So you all, you know, it's always so easy to cook, but how about knowing the facts about your foods? Because in Trinidad here, we grew up with just standard basic knowledge of food, right? And I'm trying to change that in the simplest form that I can for you all, right? So there you have it. So I'm getting straight into the demo. So you will need to wash your potatoes. Whatever potatoes you get, it's fine, right? Some of your supermarkets and so forth will label these potatoes as baking potatoes or baker's potato. Again, I just spoke on that, right? That the knowledge of food is so limited here, right? But it is, you know, it is Russet, this one that I'm using. Like I said, what you want to make sure is that they are huge, right? And you don't want to cut it like in half going this way. You don't want to cut it in half going this way, right? Make sure you scrub the skins of your potato, because some persons, they eat the skin when it's tough, believe it or not. So you want to turn it on the side, like this way. Watch carefully. You want to turn it this way, or some person will even do it this way to do it, or even this way to cut it, to bake it, right? But you don't want to do this. That's chaos. That won't be right? So you can cut it. And the next thing, if I'm to cut it like this way, you're gonna have to, if I'm cutting it this way, you're gonna have to support it somewhat in your baking dish. Whereas if I'm cutting it this way, it's gonna sit comfortable without me having to support it with each other and so forth. So it will make sense to cut it in a way that it don't need much supporting, like it won't tumble over and so forth in the oven, because remember, it's gonna be stuffed, right? But I'm going to tell you something now. It's going to make for prettier presentation if it's cut this way. It's going to look more of a boat. That's just me, right? We all do things differently. I tell you all that from time to time. I like to be real. So I will cut it so, because it's going to prettier it when it's cut in half like that, how it's going to look. I'm going to have a length of it, right? But you can feel free to cut it like going this way. But for me, look at the potato, girl. I'm just angling stuff for you all. It's gonna be too flat if I cut it that way. I like to be real with you all. I'm a real cook. I like to just come here and be real with you all the time. I like to think of you all, my supporters and viewers, as persons that you are in my kitchen with me, and we're just having a conversation about food, right? So let's not take up any more time with that. I'm just gonna cut it. You cut it, just don't cut it like this. That's the bottom line, right? So I'm gonna just give it a cut here now. Make sure it's in equal parts, right? One, if you are cooking if you need 8 pieces, just get 4 potatoes. If you are serving 8 persons, right? So for me, I prefer to see that way. If a person will say no, but no, I prefer to see this way. And then if you are not doing side dishes, you want your potatoes this big, right? It could be a little smaller, but if you're a potato lover, I happen to know a lot of baked potato lovers, right? So, you know, the way I'm going to do it for you all, they love it when I do it this way. So I'm going to just put it in, you know, potato, this gets discolored very quickly. So I already have a cup boiling, and I'm just going to put it into the water. You want to make sure it's fully submerged in the water, so of course more water is going to be needed in my pot, right? I happen to love putting my food in already boiling water. I don't like to, it's part of growing up the old school way. When you put food in cold water, it will have done something to the seniors' mind later on. They would have been like, no, you are going to mess up the food, you know. So I just love my food to go in boiling water, and it goes by quickly cooking wise, right? So you guys saw what I did. I'm just going to do a second one, and you are going to keep watching to see how I bring this together for us, right? Of course, you will keep watching. So let me just do the second potato. Of course, put coarse sea salt, but you all remember the tip that I shared about the salt. Don't put it in before you add your contents to cook, because you will have a salt water blast all over your kitchen, right? You don't want your pot too full that it's overflowing, right? So you don't want your pot too full that it's overflowing, but you want it with enough water that it can cook, right? Right, having said that, you all know my preferred prepping salt is coarse sea salt, of course. So I'm just going to add a bit of it. Don't go berserk with the salt, please, because the cheddar, which I will be using in this, is going to give us the required amount of salt that we need. So keep watching as I bring it together, guys, right? So guys, our potatoes, they are fully cooked. For the sake of time, I remove the inside of some of them, and there is one piece left still that I just want to do a demonstration to show you guys. You want to gently, don't go too close to the skin, because what will happen is you will end up mashing up the skin. It will become broken apart and so forth. So take your time very gently. Of course, it is cool at this stage. Wait until it's cool, because the skin is even more tender or delicate when it's hot. So let it cool down so that it can firm up just a bit. And you know, you take your spoon, you take your time, and you get out the inside like I am doing here. As I say, you don't want to, the goal is not to go as thin as you can to the skin. You want to have like a thin layer, if you will, of the potato to help keep things together for you nicely, right? But yet you want to get out enough that you can so you see how gently I'm doing it with a tablespoon. You want to get out enough that you can have the majority of it being highly seasoned and flavored on the inside, right? So about here is where you can stop. If you go thinner than with your layer than this, if you go thinner, you run the rest of your potato becoming a mess on you, right? For this method, you will want to have a cheese sauce which I already have prepared, right? So I'm just going to add my potato to the pot and use my potato masher, right? And put it in. For the cheese sauce, you will need butter, be it salted or unsalted. You will need cheddar. Well, that's local cheddar. If you're vegetarian, look for vegetarian cheddar or anything cheddar, or use whichever cheese you prefer that bakes well, right? You're gonna need evaporated milk, cheddar, about 2 tablespoons of butter, about a cup of cheddar, 1 cup of cheddar, and about half cup of evaporated milk, because you don't want it too runny. You're gonna start by simply, to make your cheese sauce, you're gonna start by simply putting your butter, put a bit of seasonings. That seasoning then you will need for this will be strictly parsley, onion, 1 red pimento if you have, that's optional, sorry, depending on if you want to taste it coming through. 1 red pimento, 1 onion, 1 garlic, salt and pepper to taste, and that's it, right? So I'm just going to stir my sauce. You all have seen the seasonings in there. It's somewhat like it's looking like this because of course it's cheese we are working with, and I don't want to do it much more thin or runny than this, because what will happen is potato, it's going to take too long to cook. You all understand that? right? So I'm just gonna get it in there. Remember the sauce I made ahead of time for the sake of time on the set, right? Because I don't believe in keeping you all unnecessary watching when I can just get straight to the point. There are times I will be doing demonstration that I will have no choice but to make you all stay the course of time, so to speak. But this one, I could have avoided it, and I am doing just that, right? Remember what I said, I don't want it too runny, right? And then once I get it mashed with my potato masher, I'm just going to take my spatula and incorporate everybody nicely. It don't have to be too smooth. We don't want it looking or resembling instant mashed potatoes. That's not cool either, right? There's also some nutmeg in here. So at this stage is where I want it. It's perfect, and I'm going to start using my spatula to incorporate things properly. Because remember, your masher is just for that purpose. It's not to help incorporate anything. It's just to mash your potato. If you have a mill, food mill, you can also run it through there. The Americans use their mill to get their potatoes done and all of that, right? For persons in the international world. I say Americans because mostly we refer to them a lot, right? So you want to take your time and incorporate it. You can put a bit of all-purpose Maggi in here, because that's the only, if I'm going to use seasonings, complete pack seasoning, that's the only brand I will use. So that's why I always call them. They are not paying me, and I don't do any sponsored content on Food by Shanyon just yet, right? I'm just being direct with you all, because in any event you all will ask me. So you all saw the difference the spatula make, right? Remember when I was using the potato masher, we didn't have all of this distributed evenly, so that's why I said that was just for that purpose and that alone. And we are, let me just mash one more time, because I'm seeing bits that still, I don't think it will be flavored, right? So I'm just going to run it through it one more time. And you can also do that also, right? So you see how easy it is to be done, right? And we are ready to stuff our potatoes. Of course, for the sake of time, I'm only going to fill about 3, and I'll show you all the final results. Right? So you want to spray your baking dish. I already have my baking dish right here. I'm going to spray it with some organic extra virgin olive oil non-stick cooking spray. By the way, it's first cold press. Cold press meaning it was used to turn the olives into oil. Right? So I'm using cold press. You just want to make sure it's coated properly. One of the sides, because your potato will be leaning against the side or resting against the side of your dish. Right? So you all saw how easy it is, right? It's just for, and you have to, it's just to make sure that they don't stick. Because remember, when you are working with cheese, you run the risk of sticking, right? Because you all know, of course, how cheese behaves. We all know how cheese behaves, especially when we are speaking cheese that's going into oven, right? Be careful. You want to handle this very gently. It's fragile food, right? If you want it somewhat spicy, you can put just a bit of crushed red peppers in here. Not too much, because I know even though we are Trinidadians and we say we can manage heat, at times the pepper flakes, they are really hot, depending on how much you use. I can tell you all that, and I eat pepper. It's not like I don't, right? So just be careful. And if you have kids, you might want to remember what you put the flakes on. So as a good tip, if you have kids and you are making some with the pepper flakes for adults, sprinkle just a bit on the top also, so you will know which one have the pepper. You all understood that? I know you did, right? So one more, I'm going to top with cheese and breadcrumbs. I'm going to top with cheese and breadcrumbs. I know I said 3 and I'm doing 2, right? So one more, I'm going to top with cheese and breadcrumbs after this. Be very careful. Handle this with care. You don't want to do all of this work to see your potato mashing up, right? Just handle it with a lot of care. It's delicate food, right? I know I said I was going to do 3, although I said one more just now. So let me do the 3. Let me do the 3. Right? So like this one, because it's a lot, you can always put it this way because it's smaller. I'm going to do a next big one. That next big one will go next to the other big one there in the dish. Right? You will get the gist of it. It's quite easy. I always tell you all, Food by Shami and Gold, the social media aspect of Food by Shami is to take away the intimidation of food. So much of you like these things, and you have it sometimes, relatives might cook it, or you go to a restaurant. You go to a restaurant and you have it and you thoroughly enjoy it, and you don't know how to make it. When it comes to making it yourself, you are stumped. So I am here to show you all a lot of techniques to make these things so easy that you would not be intimidated whatsoever to do it, to make it, right? Remember I said I was just going to do 3 for you all. I'm sticking to that. I will do the rest off set, and let me just top it with the cheddar. Follow all the steps, and you want to bake it for about 20 minutes or until it becomes golden brown perfection, right? My golden brown might be different to your golden brown, so it just depends, right? Some people don't like the food they often, or they bake foods too dark, and others love dark. It just varies by who we are, right? Don't worry about if it's so closely jammed together that's sticking on, because you can always use a spatula to remove them individually, gently, after they are finished baking, okay? I'm going to top at this time with some Italian breadcrumbs, right? So that's all I'm going to do. Just top it with a bit of Italian breadcrumbs. Right? When it's finished baking, I will garnish it with some freshly chopped parsley. Right? So I'm hitting it now, or applying now the breadcrumbs, the Italian breadcrumbs. It's fine breadcrumbs. I wouldn't suggest pan to be used for this. You can use the plain breadcrumb, however, if you somehow suffer from hypertension and so forth, because the Italian breadcrumb is seasoned breadcrumbs, okay? It just gives it a nice crust, and it helps to take away the oil that will be released during the baking of our cheddar. So guys, you know what I always say about time in the oven, that settings of oven, that varies by the make and model of your oven, and also the age, and whether it's the gas or electric stove or range that you have, right? So it's going to go down to bake to golden perfection, as I said. And of course, I will show you guys the end result of our potato in jackets or skin, right? Our stuffed potatoes. So keep watching, guys. So guys, we have reached the end of our stuffed potatoes or potato in jackets demo. It's finished baking. I garnish it with some freshly chopped parsley. It looks just brilliant, right? The cheese became rather airy at the top, so it's really nice. So I'm just going to plate one. You all know I always love putting the food against the white, so I'm just going to plate one for you all. And I'm going to cut into it for you guys to see what we have, right? So that's that one, and I'm just going to cut into it now for you all to see what we have. It's very nice and moist. I just want you all to see the texture that we have here. It's very creamy also. Right, you don't ever want to bake your food to the point of they drying out in your oven. That's never the goal. And remember, this was baked and covered, right? There's no need to cover it. So that is what we have, guys. Whenever I zoom in of it for you guys to see, that is what we have. That is what we have. So guys, it was my pleasure. You guys know the business is all over social media. You all know we are on Instagram, we are on Facebook, and of course the YouTube channel, all under the name Food by Shami. There's an email address for the business if you want to come into direct contact with me, which is foodbyshamion@gmail.com, or common letters. Guys, until I'm with you all, bye.